Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to this session, Inclusive versus Carve-Out Method, So far we've talked about, service organization, auditors coming in to assess, the organization systems and to issue a report, a self-report, being someone or type 2 report. But what type of methodology or the kind of assessment would they carry out? And that's why we are discussing here. But even talking about, inclusive, what does it mean? For example, imagine working on a group project where your team controls every part of the project, including work done by a subcontractor team or contracted team. You are in charge of making sure the subcontracted team follows the same rules and guidance as your own team. In this case, you can include their work in your own project report because you have control over what they do, right? Or about how they do their work, right? And we're going to see. So, but in a business world, this inclusive method is used when sub-service organization has control over sub-service organization. Service organization have control over sub-service organization. We'll spend some time here because it's interesting. And this is the whole chaotic aspect when it comes to assessing your vendors, analyzing sub-type to report, understanding their sub-service organizations, what type of methodology did they use? Is it cave in or cave out? If it's cave out and you want to collect artifacts, it can be like it's very chaotic, okay, and very, very complex, right? So a company that helps provide part of the services, this means the service organization oversees and manage the work done by the sub-service organization. So it can report on the controls that are in place with the sub-service organization as part of its own report. For example, if a company offers payroll services and hires another company to handle the direct deposit, but still oversee how the direct deposit process is handled, it would include the company's controls in its own report. If you have control over your sub-service organization, that is good. And that will make our job lighter, right, or easier if you are assessing it because everything has been inclusive and the assessor have already assessed those controls. But it becomes tricky when it's came out, and we're going to see that shortly. Okay. So, but when can a service organization use go in for inclusive method? First, the service organization has control or direct oversight over the sub-service organization's operations. The service organization can provide information about sub-service organizations' controls. You want to include the sub-service organization's controls in the report to demonstrate that the service organization is ensuring that its subcontracted services meet the necessary controls requirement, right? And again, this is pretty much is clear, right? The controls at the sub-service organization are definitely included in your SOC 2 report. And we mentioned that. That again, it helps you, maybe if you're on the other side, where you are just assessing onboarding vendors, performing due diligence, then this is much easier for you, I promise you. The service organization accept responsibility for the controls in place. I have to, shut down my WhatsApp. I'm receiving messages. Okay. The service organization accept responsibility for the controls in place at the sub-service organization. And the sub-service organization's controls are evaluated as part of the report. You understand? Do you see? So sub-service organization controls are also evaluated as part of the report. So if you are outsourcing information, have sub-service organization, if their controls has also been assessed, then it make it much more easier if you are working on the other side, assessing and reviewing your vendors, right? But what of cave out method? What does it mean? Let's see. Now, imagine you are still working on a group project, but this time there's another team working on a different section of the project that you don't control. You can't check if they follow the rules because you don't oversee their work. In this case, you keep at their work from your reports because you can't vouch for their actions, right? But in a business case, the cape-on method is used when the service organization does not have control over the sub-service organization right? This means that the service organization cannot include the sub-service organization controls in a report because it can ensure they are following the required security or operational controls. Let's say the same payroll company hires another company to handle the tax filings. If the payroll company doesn't have control over how tax filing company handles it works, it will keep out that part of the service and not include it in a report. Okay, but that, okay, they can keep out, but you know where the problem lies? That you are entrusting these folks with your data, that you are entrusting the third party vendor with your data, that vendor is also have sub-service organization that they are outsourcing it, and then they have a carve-out method that you don't know how that fourth party, that's your fourth party, your third party outsourcing, fourth party, fifth party, sixth party, you don't even know how they're also like managing your data better. Yeah, so what you have actually center or resonate with just your third party vendor. If it's a cave out, then you don't even know about the other vendors. And this is exactly what we're talking about here. Okay. But when can use the cave out method, the service organization does not have direct control over the service organization's operations or has limited oversight over the sub-service organization. The service organization wants to exclude the sub-service organization's operations from the scope of its SOC report. The sub-service organization operates independently, and the service organization is not responsible for its controls. That we've covered already, right? But how does it work? The sub-service organization's controls are excluded from the SOC report, and only the service organization control are evaluated. The report should explicitly keep out the sub-service activities and controls from the scope of the report. This sounds fantastic, okay? But my question is, if you are onboarding a vendor where the report, SOC 2 type 2 report shows that it's a keep out method, and they have just limited to one, a sub-service organization. Say that vendor is your critical or high risk vendor because they collect, processes, and store high sensitive amount of data. What are you going to do? Just with that SOC 2 type 2 report, what's for the questions you're going to ask your direct vendor? What are those artifacts you're going to be requesting? I hope you guys can think now. And these are some of the challenges that third-party vendor risk analysts face, a lot. Okay. I hope that's why I tell people that this training, it's so passionate. I love it. What's a key consideration? We have controls and oversight. The primary factor in deciding between the two methods is control. I've told you people over and over again. If you understand security controls, you are good. I'm not kidding. It doesn't matter which framework. It doesn't matter what standards. I'm not kidding. It's the same principle that applies. Okay? If the service organization has direct control and oversight, the inclusive method is appropriate. If it does not, then the carve-out method should be used. What of service level agreement, SLA? Review the agreements in place between the service organization and sub-service organization. Very important, because many times they cannot include that based on the SLA. Maybe their sub-service organization say, because of confidentiality issue, we cannot, allow you to integrate our controls into your report. Okay. If the agreement gives the service organization sufficient authority to ensure controls, as an inclusive method might be necessary. Otherwise, carve-out method. What of risk considerations? If a sub-service organization is critical to the overall service being provided, say for example, processing financial transactions, using the inclusive method to evaluate their controls may provide more assurance to clients. Okay. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll discuss some of the disadvantages of the Cape-Out method. But I believe as of now, you have a good understanding as to what this entails. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.